Episode 6. We are here, my man, back doing what we do. What's good, man? I haven't seen you in a while.
We're back, right? We are back. We're filming back-to-back episodes in a night. This is great.
Yeah, man.
It's good to be back.
Best way to do it. Best way to do it. Glad we're doing this consistent. We are actually tomorrow, I believe, we will go. All episodes will now be on Apple and Spotify. Yeah, so we're getting to podcast lane along with video. You can always find us on YouTube. You can always find us on Hoop Dirt, All Access. However, Apple, Spotify, you'll be able to find the first 4 episodes. 5 and 6 will come out either the end of this week or beginning of next. So
big time, baby. Big time. Love it.
We're moving up. We love to see it. All right.
Moving up.
All right. So we're going to talk. We're going to talk some fun on this one. So let's get to the postseason play. We have the bracket in the background. We're going to talk hoops. And at the end, we're going to talk about the hires. So got a great show lined up. Again, we have a Division III national championship. We got D2 still going on, Elite 8, I believe. We have a JUCO national champion at multiple levels. We have what else we have? NAIA is still going.
Finished up tonight.
Oh, that's right. It did finish up tonight. Shout out to yes. So yes, we're gonna get to it. Yeah, we talked about it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let me find the good stuff. Our production team in the back doing what they do. All right, so let's get to it. Let's see what we can find. Let's go NJCA tournament. Greg Heyer, Northwest Florida, got it done. My man GH in the building. Let's go. Got it done. So GH was at Chipola. He killed it. GH was at Southern Miss. GH was at Wichita State, Final Four. Southern Miss, I believe they went to tournament with Eustachy. They went to LSU, won the SEC. Now he's back in JUCO. East Tennessee, weird thing happened there with Coach Shea, and then he goes back JUCO. For those that thought he could only recruit, Greg Heyer is a high-level basketball coach, right? You put people in a category who have done what he's done as an assistant, as a head coach the first time, winning at a 90% clip. Now this time to be able to apply what he learned from that winning and do it, just couldn't be happier for GH to get it done. Northwest Florida in a great game against Salt Lake, in the fact that Salt Lake was number 1 the entire year.
Yeah.
They had no moment in time where they weren't number 1 except for this final game. So shout out to Coach Taylor, Coach CJ, and their whole staff, because, I mean, they had a great year too. But I'm going to pass it to you. We'll talk a little bit about Division I. There's a Division II champion too. We'll go to that next.
Yeah. So like you say, congrats to Coach Heyer.
Yes.
The job that he did at Northwest Florida. They finished 31-5. But like you said, national championship game against Salt Lake, who had been number 1 all
entire year. So you are the underdog in that game, no matter what.
You are the underdog. And then you go into the halftime, right? Halftime of the national championship game, you're up 41-15. 41-15 at the half. That's a wrap. That's amazing. They came out and they smacked him in the mouth and they won a national championship. Like you said, total package. Package. He can coach. He got it done year 1 at Northwest Florida. So congrats to him. And then Division II national championship wrapped up this week as well. How about this one? South Suburban College, John Pagatti. South Suburban finishes the year 33-0. 33-0. What a run. He's Coach Pagatti's closing in, I think, on 500 wins. He's a Division I assistant at a bunch of places, but you go 33-0. I don't care if you're, what level you're playing at. 33-0.
I don't care if you're doing table tennis tournament. You 33-0.
Exactly.
Man, it's so hard to win one game, and it's so hard to sustain that level for that long. I mean, you see even Gonzaga, the highest of the high level, it's just hard to do it. And you see guys like these teams that have swept their conferences. That's a rare thing to just do that. Murray State and South Dakota State this year did that. That's a really rare thing. So to do it the whole year, even through the tournament, incredible.
Winning is hard, man. Winning is hard. And to do it 33 times without losing a game, congrats to those guys.
And leading 18 to 22-year-olds to be that consistent. Oh, my God. Man, that's a whole nother story, whole nother podcast for that. So shout out to the national champion winners. And we have I don't know who won Division 2, but I will take a quick second, and I should know her name. I'm drawing a blank, but the head women's coach at Tyler got their first national championship.
I saw that.
And there's not a lot of my wife, minority female head coach, was in volleyball. There's not a lot of women that actually are head coaches in a lot of sports, and there's not a lot of minority women. So she is a black female, won the national championship, huge thing. So I wanted to give a quick shout out. Should know her name. I'm gonna pull it up unless you have it already.
Trania Tillis Horde.
Yes, let's go.
The head coach at Tyler Junior College. She actually won a women's hoop dirt coach of the week award this year for junior college. You got to win one of those awards to qualify for our national coach of the year award. Here's a little inside tip for you. We haven't announced these winners yet. I'd put my money on her winning our National Coach of the Year award after what she did this year with Tyler. So, we win for every level, Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA junior college. If I'm a betting man, Brian, I would put my money on her winning our national award.
Yes. Let's jump into that real quick. Hoop Dirt Coach of the Year candidates.
Oh boy.
When does it happen? What can people expect? How does it go down again? I love to talk about it because I think it is a big deal. Like you said, it's been on people's bios. It's something that SIDs pick up sometimes, and they celebrate it on their website. Much respect for the Hoop Dirt brand and what you've created and built. So talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we do it for 16 weeks out of the year. We'll name a Division 1, 2, 3, NAIA and junior college coach of the week on the men's side and the women's side. Shout out to my son AJ, who writes those every week. It's not easy. It puts a lot of time into it. So the thing that we do is with our weekly candidates, you have to win one of those weekly awards to qualify for the national award, the national end of the year coach of the year award. And like I said, we'll do one at each level. So those haven't been announced yet. So typically what we do is after the 16 weeks that we do it, we wait a little bit to see some of these national championships wind down. And then we will make our choices, we'll sit down sometime next week. And I think you'll see those awards start coming out probably midweek next week. We usually start with the junior college. We'll do junior college men and women on the same day and kind of go from there. But one of the things, like I said, we do wait a little bit to see because we kind of like to see. Listen, hey, if you won a national championship and you want to coach the award from us, it might help you. We talk about, and again, not giving anything away here, but you look at on the men's side, Division 3. Josh Merkel from Randolph-Macon, they went 33-1, just beat Elmhurst for the Division 3 national championship. They won the national championship game by 30, 75-45.
Wasn't even close. I watched. Not even
close. So that's a guy that you look, well, he won a, Hoop Dirt Coach of the Week award for Division 3, just won a national championship. Probably a pretty good bet to win our national Division 3 Coach of the Year award.
No question. And well earned. And I would ask you this, because we'll obviously have a show around it, so I can't wait for that. But shout out to AJ, right? Your son.
You got it. That's it.
Thank you, AJ. We see you, AJ. We shout out. So tell us a couple stories that are cool from the National Coach of the Year, like somebody getting that. Yeah. Either how it helped them or how they responded to you or how they tell us a couple cool stories if you don't mind. Because I think that's part that people maybe don't even know.
Yeah, you know what? There's actually a lot of cool stories. So I like a lot of those guys put it in their bios now, which is great to see, that they've won a, hoopdirt.com National Coach of the Year award, whatever level it is. And like we say, sometimes the lower level guys kind of take it and run with it more. But it's really nice to see. But the one thing that I do is, for our weekly winners, they win it. We send something to the sports information people, blah, blah, blah. Great. No problem. But for the national guys, I actually reach out to all of those guys, the Division 1 all the way down. And it's really nice to hear from all those guys. And, and again, that's why I do what I do. I love talking to guys every day and guys in the business, but really hearing from, the guys that have won the award. I've actually been able to make some good connections with guys that I've reached out to and guys that have won the award. But there's some guys that are really appreciative about it, and not just the lower level guys. Our last couple Division I Coach of the Year winners, we've had some really nice conversations with.
That's cool.
After they've won, so it's been good. And like I said, I mean, it's a nice way to honor guys, especially at the lower levels who don't always get a lot of recognition. And more so like the Coach of the Week awards, they get a lot of recognition,
right.
because it's guys that, maybe haven't, are not going to win a national championship, may not even win their league, but they're getting some recognition during the season.
Big deal.
With a lot of our Coach of the Year winners, they probably did win a national championship if they won a Coach of the Week award, or won a conference championship and have had some big time success. And this is maybe just something to cap it off a little bit. But yeah, it's been cool. I think this is year 7 on the men's side and year 3 on the women's side.
Nice.
And it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I like getting guys some publicity. And then I like, being able to talk to them, and I love being able to see it in their bios. When they put it in bio, like, to me, that's a win. Even, and like I said, AJ writes it, and he's all over all this. And, a couple of these guys, he'll say, hey, look, it's in his Wikipedia now, so that, it's kind of cool when that shows up in their Wikipedia.
Yeah, I would say, so again, for people that, who knows how many people watch what episode, but as a former coach and a former head coach and a former Division I assistant, and a former Division I assistant, JUCO assistant, D2 assistant for myself, it's a big deal to get those recognitions. A National Coach of the Week, big deal. And then a National Coach of the Year, big deal, because these jobs are so hard. People don't know how hard it is to win, how hard it is to get recognized beyond just your little pod of people that are following, right? So to get a national attention for that, it helps with perception, it helps with jobs, it helps with recruiting, it helps with credibility with your own administration. So I tip my hat to you officially. Tip my hat to Hoopder for doing it, because I think it's a great thing. So yeah, we want to get into that real quick. We'll go back to some of the D3. We'll go D3 next. D3 National Tournament. You mentioned it a little bit. I'll let you kind of briefly say that again. And I would wonder, so there's a lot of great coaches, and you know this history better than I do, but one in particular, Mike Rhodes, that's at VCU, was at Rice, was an assistant at VCU, came from Randolph-Macon, correct? Was a head coach there. So does this gentleman that was dominant in the Division III head coaching game, I watched it and I was like, I mean, it's not even fair right now what's happening. But does he, and maybe Lafayette, maybe he doesn't want his name, I don't, whatever, but is one of those type of jobs smart enough to say, hey, man, let's get you over here and at least have a conversation?
Yeah, well, so look at Randolph-Macon, like you said, Mike Rhodes came from there.
Right.
Then how about after that, Nathan Davis, who's the head coach of Bucknell? He was the head coach of Randolph-Macon.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
It's definitely a place you can move from. Who knows? I don't know what he wants to do with his life, but hey, listen, you go 33-1 and win a national championship by 30 points. You can probably move at some point, but you know what? I don't know what's going to happen there, but great run by those guys.
Absolutely great run.
One team in the country, they deserve to win it the way they did it. They ran Elmhurst out of the gym. Good for them. And from everything you read and talk about, like, they're going to be back like just as strong next year. So that's kind of scary. So maybe that's a reason to come back. I don't know, but congrats to
and credit to the team that they played against. It's hard, like we said, to Salt Lake, to get to a national championship game. You deserve to have credit. You deserve to have the kudos, because they were a 16 seed, I believe. Yeah, playing one.
And it's honestly like a once in a lifetime opportunity, just to get that far.
No question.
It doesn't happen, very often. So,
no question.
Kudos to Elmhurst for getting there.
Yes.
They should be proud of the season they had, but congrats to Josh Merkel, Randolph-Macon, 33-1 national champs.
Big time win. All right, let's go NAI next. We'll go D2 last because D2 is still going. NAI crowned a champion tonight. We talked about him on the show before. Yeah, my man that I got to work under, and I don't even know what his title was. Maybe I don't want to say he wasn't a GA though. He was like he was an assistant, but it wasn't an assistant. It wasn't a full time. and he was younger. He was close to us. We hung out. The crew. Stacey Hollowell has been a friend of mine, and ever since then. So happy to see what he's done. National championship, big time to be able to win it. Only lost one game. You know more than I do, so I'll let you.
You got it.
Great dude. Another dude that I would say this real quick. I don't know if he'll have the opportunity to move because people don't always give the love, but man, to be able to do that, he deserves an opportunity to be able to have a hard look.
He should have a chance eventually here. Like I said, Stacey Hollowell, 37-1. They just won the national championship tonight. You know what? The thing about the way they beat Talladega 71-56 tonight. Talladega had a heck of a year too. Chris Wright does a great job at Talladega. They went 32-6. And I mentioned that we talked about this last week when they were down to like 8 teams. I said last week, this is going to be the matchup. This is coming. And it came, and it was a pretty good game. 2 really, really high level coaches at the NAIA level. Yep. But congrats to Coach Hollowell. 37-1, man. Like you play 38 games and
that's incredible. To play 38 games in a year, to win 37 of them, you gotta. It's easy to just think about numbers sometimes, like, oh wow, that sounds cool, but 38 times you got your team to play at a high level and beat the competition when they didn't want you to beat them. Like, I think people sometimes don't realize how hard that is. So big shout outs to Stacey. Happy for you, man. Proud of what you're doing and excited for you to have some opportunities. Not to say that you don't want to stay, but I'm excited for people to now hopefully respect the job you've done and come after you a little bit. I can say that. All right, going to the next one. We got D2 still going. So what's the latest on that? I know you were watching some of these games.
Yeah, so I watched a bunch of these games today. D2 is now down to the final 4. I'm trying to find them right here. D2 is down to the final 4. But how about this? Biggest upset of the tournament so far. Nova Southeastern, number 1. They were 33-0, 31-0, 31-0, I think. Black Hills State beat them today. 77-67, Black Hills State. Big time win for them. Black Hills State, 55 rebounds today. Out-rebounded Nova Southeastern by 20. Black Hills State goes 21 for 22 from the free throw line. That's a huge upset. Black Hills State goes to the Final 4 where they're going to play Northwest Missouri State. I watched Northwest Missouri play Bentley today. Northwest Missouri State is so good. Ben McCollum did a great job with those guys.
Talk about it.
Yeah, no, they're phenomenal. I mean, so I watched that game. It was a close game in the first half. The second half, Northwest Missouri State just put it on them. They got up in Bentley. They defended them. They turned them over. They took 4 charges. They're Northwest Missouri State's big. They look like a Division I team, like most of these teams at this level right now at this part of the tournament do. So that's going to be an interesting game because I think Northwest Missouri State is really, 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 really good. Obviously, Black Hills State must be good. They just beat an undefeated Nova Southeastern team. So on the other side of the bracket, the other 2 teams, Indiana University of Pennsylvania and Augusta, those are the last 2 teams left. That's the Final 4. Indiana beat Hillsdale today, and Augusta beat Chico State. So that's your Final 4. Black Hills State and Northwestern, Missouri State and Indiana, Pennsylvania against Augusta. Should be, 2 really good games. I look at that and, obviously you got 4 really good teams there, but I really like Northwest Missouri State and what Ben McCollum's done, and he's won a bunch of national championships. He's a 3-time hoopdirt.com National Coach of the Year winner. So he can coach, man. But those are going to be some really good games. And you know what? Anybody who's out there that hasn't seen any of these games, you can watch them. They're all on. They're all NCAA.com. You go to the Division II page. They're all on. Like I said, I watched a bunch of these games today. They're really, really good games to watch. They're all in Evansville, big arena. They're a lot of fun to watch. So I would, if you can watch them, take a peek. I think these games are on the 24th. So I don't even know what today is anymore, but the 24th, it's Thursday, the 24th. So you're around. Times are still to be announced, but take a peek.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Love it. I got a small life update I can share. You said Thursday. And I'm like, oh yeah, got a call. Such a blessing. Thank you, God, for to be able to do so I did my first year of broadcasting this year. Was able to do right around 25 games, which is incredible. Last year I volunteered to do it, Division II at a doubleheader during Christmas break to see my brothers. volunteered to do a couple other opportunities. So for people out there that just think like it's easy, it's not, because it's like for me, just like a player, they want to see film or they want to see something or what have you done this? So I really had to just volunteer my way in, and then it's led to other opportunities. So I was able to do my first NCAA tournament, Division II, called a couple games for my brother's team at Texas A&M Commerce. They won in advance, so I got to call another game. So that was really cool for their radio broadcast. And then just got a call Sunday to be able to do my first television broadcast in the Division I postseason tournament for the WNIT UCLA versus Wyoming. So
that's awesome, man. Big time. Love it. Love to hear it. I was so excited when you told me earlier. That is great.
Yeah, I'm fired up about it. It's cool to, I don't know, it's cool to this sometimes. Like, I'm sure this is for you. So I ask this quick question before we go back. The Hoop Dirt story, for people that don't know, we had a podcast, we talked about it, but people that didn't hear that episode or don't know your story probably just think like, oh, he's just a guy. No, it's a former Division I assistant who's been a Division III head coach and has won a ton of games, recruited a ton of players, and has been in this thing. So you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
But then you decided to step away you have a large family, 4 kids. You care about that role. Not that other people don't, but that was a priority. So you wanted to go to your kids' games. So you create this Hoop Dirt, and then it becomes this thing, and you just celebrated, let's talk about this, 50,000 followers. Yeah. It's incredible. So I'm sure when you started it, you didn't think you'd have 50,000 people following and over 3 million people a month in the summer or in the off season trafficking your site. So talk about your side of the story. We got to celebrate that too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Hey, nothing like you on ESPN. I'm not there yet. Try to get there one day, but I appreciate it. Like I said, and a lot of people heard the story. You've heard the story. I spent my whole career coming up in this crazy business, and this thing just kind of took off on us, and we worked hard on it for a long, long time, and it's kind of gotten to the point now where, like you said, we've got 50,000 Twitter followers. We get 3 million page views per month on the website. Our numbers are through the roof and growing. Just looking at the Google Analytics this morning. I mean, they're nuts. They're through the roof, and it's great. And I love it. Being able to do stuff like this with you now and some other stuff, like it's great. And just kind of where we started and where it's come
60-second updates are fire too, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just trying to do more. And, so I say a lot of times, because I've been there and I've come up in this, I love to do it because I love to help coaches. Right. I want to be able to help, and guys get all fired up. Like, oh, it's a fire! Someone got fired. Oh, okay, great. But we want to help guys move, and it's really don't get excited about guys getting fired. But also it's a way that keeps me connected to this business and the guys that I came up with.
No doubt.
Like, honestly, especially this time of year, like my phone, it just the number of guys I talk to, it's awesome. Right. And it's not. And, it started really with guys that I knew and guys that I came up with, and I came up with a really good group of guys. Right. But now, like, the guys that I talk to, it's awesome. I mean, it's nuts. Like, some of the guys will reach out. I'll say, I'll get a text and, hey, how'd you get my number? And B, is this like really you? Cool. All right.
Yeah, right. It is an interesting space, man, on both sides. I've gotten a lot of those that I wouldn't have expected, especially in this lane, right? Yeah. But I'm curious, when you started it, what made you jump into it? And did you think it was going to be like a big thing? Or was it more just like, you know what, this is a good service because people want this information? What kind of, was it both? Was it one? Was it the other?
No, so I've told the story a lot. I'll just tell, it was just like kind of a funny thing.
This is for those that don't know the story. We're going to just relive it real quick.
You don't know the story. I'm going to give you the quick update, the quick version. It was a funny thing. It started over a poker game, right? My former assistant coach who played for me, he always knew I was a guy back then before like all the social media and texting, like you talked on the phone. So he knew, I was in the office all day just talking on the phone to coaches, and I had all the dirt. So my brother-in-law at the time was a web developer, was developing websites, blah, blah, blah. We're playing poker one night, the three of us, boom, boom, boom. He looks at my brother-in-law. He said, hey, Jim, can you build a website for us? And he's like, yeah, obviously. He's like, all right, we want to do this dirt thing. Like, he knows everything. You can build a website. Like, all right, let's do it. Let's see what this thing does. Right. It literally started as like a 1-page blog. Like, I would just put stuff up that I heard.
Right.
And now it kind of took off. Now we have the job section where, we have a ton of jobs up there. We have, clinic sections that we post, features. We've got a lot of stories. We actually have a career development section now where we want some really good career development people that are working with some coaches on portfolios. So it's really growing and it's amazing. Like we always say, because we look at our Google Analytics all the time, like I'm religious about the Google Analytics. And like the first time we're like, 10 people actually went to this site. And then we're like, oh my God, like 100 people. And the day like we had 1,000 views one day, we're like, oh my God, 1,000. Like that was nuts. And now, now it's just through the roof. We get 3 million plus page views per month. And, and that's just on the website. And to be honest, Brian, and you know what it's like. I mean, stuff is like evolving and growing. So we're trying to not be as reliant on the website. We're doing a lot more social media. Like you said, we're doing a lot more stuff like this, 60-second updates, just trying to get out there and kind of cover all of our bases and be everywhere a little bit, kind of moving from being, just a website to a brand, for a long time, I called it hoopdirt.com because that's what we were. And I'm trying to now kind of get rid of the .com. Like we're just hoopdirt, because we have so many different things. And, honestly, funny story that I used to tell people, when we were building this thing, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a basketball coach trying to figure this out. Right. Well, I kind of got tired of saying that. I was trying to teach myself some stuff. So I actually, last year, I actually got my master's in strategic communication.
Nice. Let's go.
A lot of this stuff. Right. So now, we talk about like, branding and, really interpreting the analytics and like all that stuff, like, oh my God, I actually know now,
right.
So it's kind of been one of those things where, I wanted to, when we realized like this could actually be like a real thing, like I was like, okay, well now we really got to start taking it seriously. So, so it is 100% been a lot of fun. And, obviously we do generate some income off it, which, that helps. And that's part of it. And we work hard. I mean, we sell ads and, our jobs are not always free and, so we definitely do some stuff and we grind and we hustle.
No doubt. I think people think sometimes it's probably easy, but the amount of, even if you're not quote unquote, and I think this is the part people get it twisted a little bit, even if you're not quote unquote breaking, the fact that most people go there the first time they hear about a new job being filled is on your plate, or a job being open. And sometimes the sad part is, by the time they see it's open, it's like, well, it's probably too late if it's on there. But we talked about this before, you do have to backtrack, say, okay, well, who's filling that? Because that job's an open. And it's just such a place for information, and it's an information business. College basketball is an information business, whether it's players, jobs, opportunities, development, like you said, clinics, all of that stuff is important. And if you want to know a place you can go to, it just becomes a place where people have notifications turned on their phone when things come, you know what I mean? And somebody said this to me the other day, like, people have notifications on their phone, like for Hoop Dirt. I was like, I mean, I'm not in that world the same way, but yes, I'm not quite as addicted to my phone as I once was when I was in it. But when you're in it, and you're just looking to see, especially in the off season, like there's no games, you're recruiting and you're figuring out what's going on in the industry.
Right. Yeah. Right. They're right. The off season, that's our busy season. And and I think that's the one thing, that we try to do is I really try to do a good job of covering it all levels. Right. We're not about like the high major Division I breaking stuff. Like, I mean, I can't tell you, how many, NAIA jobs and JUCO jobs that we put up, as dirt.
And truly, though, I think that's the part that is a separator, because where does everyone else in the business go? Where do GAs go? Where do, you know what I mean? To get all the information, it's like it's all encompassing. And the fact that you have I don't know if you call it a sister brand, that's the W Hoop Dirt. Yeah, I mean, so there's no way you're not killing it as far as time and investment in that to be able to provide that much information. Big deal.
Yeah, but and like you said, last thing, we'll leave it with this. It is fun, right? I always tell people it's fun. I love it, blah, blah, blah. But thankfully, I've got a very understanding wife, very understanding family. I mean, this program's recorded. Right now, it's 12:30 Eastern time at night, right? So 12:30 a.m., I got my first text. I got up at 5:15 this morning, got my first text and started working then. So, it's a grind, man.
It's going. But you have a passion for it, and not everybody could do what you do. So kudos to you for making it a big part of you're serving the entire industry. So that's a big deal. Kudos. We had to have a segment for that. That was important.
That was good. I like that. Was a little. All right, we got off topic, but I like it. All right, thank you.
It was needed, a little detour. All right, so we'll go back to we did all of them. So we'll go Division I now.
Okay.
March Madness. So as much as we can talk about teams that have won prior to, in the essence of time, we're going to talk about the Sweet 16. The teams that made the tournament, we know who they are.
Yep.
You deserve your kudos. Congrats on your season. When you advance, you get to continue being in the conversation. So in the Midwest, we have Miami, Ohio, Iowa State, two teams that no one, except for the fan bases, maybe, and the people inside the program would have ever thought that they're going to Sweet 16. I'm sure when Larinaga started the year, he thought his team was good, but excuse me, do you think Sweet 16? Probably not. I'm sure when TJ got his job, he's like, man, I like our chances. We can compete. But to be able to start the year undefeated for them and then get to the Sweet 16, and then going back to Larinaga, they beat Duke when they were number one. So you kind of had an idea. And I actually said it on another recording on All Access. We talked about the tournament. I thought Miami was a team to watch out for because they have that veteran guard trio that's so good. So quick shout out to them. I'll let you say anything about them you want, and then we'll go to the next one.
Yeah, no, you know what? Like I said, I think, personally, I'm surprised a little bit to see them there. Glad to see them there, but, I watched them play Boston College in the ACC tournament.
Right.
I just thought they were okay. They were okay. I didn't think they would make it this far.
No doubt.
This is going to be a great game.
Hey, you're not in the no one did. No one did. You're not in the minority with that.
Yeah. But what a great game is going to be against Iowa State and TJ Otzelberger and the job that he's done there. And, these guys were 2-22 last year and had a regime change, and they go from 2-22 to 22-12 and sitting in the Sweet 16. So, hats off there to TJ Otzelberger. I mean, the job he's done has been incredible. I mean, no matter what happens here, he took these guys to the Sweet 16. That's amazing. Absolutely.
I mean, but think about this though. Of all the teams that they play, it's almost like I thought it was really cool. So there's conflicting thoughts on the matchup between mid-majors in the first round, which was San Francisco and Murray State.
Yeah.
So you got both of them playing the first round. One of them's going to advance. Some people thought it was like, well, one of them's going to be out. But I just thought like, well, one mid-major is for sure going to advance. Yep. Well, then in the next round, you got St. Peter's playing against Murray State. One's going to advance.
Yep.
So in this particular game, again, we're talking about Miami and Iowa State in the Sweet 16. One of them's going to be an Elite Eight.
Imagine that. That's right.
Think about that. So anyway, you got to love the tournament. That's why you love it. Moving to the South, Villanova plays Michigan, number 2 seed Villanova. Michigan's been a great story. Got to love what the blue blood Villanova has continued to do. Jay Wright, that's in your neck of the woods.
Yep.
Just such a first-class program. Got to love the point guard who feels like he's been there for 7 years, is still there. Love to see him in the Sweet 16. And this Villanova team is kind of flying under the radar. They're really good. Yeah. Like they're 2 seeds, so it's hard to say flying under the radar. People kind of get bored picking them again. Man, this team is good, man. They're good defensively. They're good offensively. They're scary good. And then I just love the Juwan Howard story. I'm from Michigan. I have no problem saying that. I grew up. My mom went to Michigan. My dad went to Michigan State. House divided. And grew up a Barry Sanders fan, and Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars Bad Boy Pistons fan, and a Fab Five Michigan Wolverine. That's how I grew up. So, and sprinkled in some Michigan State too. I don't want to say I didn't have. I had to support both, but to see Juwan Howard, I think one of the coolest moments of the tournament outside of St. Peter's was that Juwan Howard. Number one, I think he's been phenomenal, not only coaching, but I think he's changed so much from being the guy that was so intense and almost so like he's so cool, calm, and collected right now on the sideline. Yep. And in his interviews, he's so intentional. And I think we in the society, we criticize people and we jump on when somebody makes a mistake. And it's part of it. I get it. But, man, the whole thing happened, Wisconsin, whatever. Well, now he's got a viral moment that he's consoling the other team's player after he's literally crying his eyes out. I just thought it was a cool moment, and I thought he's really shown a ton of growth from that time period because some people don't. Some people keep doing the same thing, keep being the same thing. And somebody said this to me, Juwan Howard almost has that same chip like he's playing against Duke. and when he was a player, and you don't really have to have that anymore. Like, you're the guy, you are, and everyone knows how first class he is and what a great dude. But in the heated competition, sometimes the worst side of us can come out, and I just think he's been unbelievable. I'm so glad he's in the Sweet 16. The Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, to get Chris Webber to come back and be in the locker room, like, I mean, no one else is doing it. And you talk about branding, like, Michigan is a brand. People have talked about this. Part of the reason why they were an 11 seed, they are a brand. They have a huge following, one of the biggest athletic departments and most recognized in the country. And he is the right man for the job because he's such a part of that brand. So I just love to see that. I don't know who wins this game, but I love that both of them are in it.
I'm with you.
Sorry.
And that no, you're right, and that's why and I always say I love looking at these from the coaching standpoint, right?
Right.
You look at two guys like Jay Wright. Jay Wright is Villanova basketball. Like, he is a legend. He's Villanova basketball, and you know what? Right now, Juwan Howard is Michigan basketball.
No question.
Great career there, great player in the NBA. Now he's done a great job here to get them to the Sweet 16, and all that stuff that happened against Wisconsin. Like, so it's hard for me because people that haven't been in this business, they don't really get it, right? So listen, I think Juwan Howard is a great guy, a great coach. Stuff happens. Someone might have said something that I didn't appreciate.
Right.
It happens. It's the heat of battle. Hey, in reality, yep, I get it. They're on national TV. Maybe you go settle it in the hallway.
That is the difference, though. And not that he's wrong, but we're human. How many people have a camera on them as they're doing their job, competing against someone else? That's
right. And you're right, Brian. But that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's not like they're not like doing their job as an accountant.
Desk and
wrong, right? Like, man, when you're in the trenches, like, you don't know, man. There's something you don't think like stuff.
You're not in your right state of mind all the time.
And it's not. I'm not making excuses. And it was a bad look on national TV. I get it. And I said, and I tweeted a lot. Just go settle it in the hallway because it needed to be settled. Whatever. But hey, fine, move on. Look what he's done. He's gotten Michigan in the Sweet 16. Like, I would love to see Michigan win that game. I really. And again, I don't want to see Jay Wright lose because, again, it's Jay Wright. He's a legend. He's got Villanova rolling, and they play hard. And but Michigan's talented too, so that's gonna be a heck of a game.
Yeah, Michigan has an 11 seed. I mean, beat a good Colorado State team that had the Player of the Year. Second game, they beat a really good team. I'm drawing a blank. Who they beat the second game? You'll tell me in a second.
They beat.
As we bring that up, it's just to be able to respond to adversity. You love those stories.
Yep.
Right? The man was suspended 5 games. They were on the bubble to get in, and to be able to rise to the occasion and perform your best and rally together. To me, that shows big time leadership. Right. It's not just winning the regular season or winning this big. If you can do it when it matters the most, the brightest lights on. Yeah, man. You gotta give.
And that second game, after they beat Colorado State, they beat Tennessee.
Exactly. That team that was red hot.
Exactly. That's what I talked about it with you last time and with other people. Like, I love Tennessee. I mean, they were playing great. They were beating everybody.
Won the SEC tournament. On fire, playing their best ball.
Didn't lose a game at home. Rick Barnes had them, humming.
No doubt.
And Juwan Howard beat them. So, yeah, good for them.
Love it. Love it. This next one. To Kansas, number 1, Providence, number 4. Big time championship matchup. You got the Big 12 champion, the Big East champion, big champions on stage. Ed Cooley just got into the finalists for Naismith Coach of the Year. So shout out to Ed Cooley, leading Providence to the first Big East championship in school history. They were one of those teams that people were kind of saying was going to get upset early. Yeah. Like, they may lose in the first round or they may lose in the second round. They're not going to make a run. And I think there's been I think he's had a lot of fun with the idea of being lucky. I think somebody tabbed him as being lucky, so he's played into that. He's having a blast. It's been cool to see Ed Cooley. I don't want to say get the monkey off his back, but just have the flowers that he deserves. Providence is not the job or the top, tier job necessarily in that league. They haven't, again, had this kind of success. So to have the postseason success to validate what they did in the year, I think is awesome, and just love to see that. And then Bill Self's got a good team. I mean, this team has every bit of a chance to win a natty. They have the pieces They have kind of that X factor guard off the bench, and I believe he started Remy Martin, averaged 18 a game at Arizona State, transfers over. But he's got bigs, he's got shooting, he's got defense. Bill Self continues to be super consistent, and they're back in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great game, and to be honest, like this personally, this is a special game for me. So I've known Coach Cooley for 25 years.
Oh, nice.
He's a couple years older than me. We came up in this thing together.
Love it.
So and I've told my story before, but back in the day, I used to work for Pat Skerry. So Pat's now the head coach at Towson.
Yeah, Towson had a great year too.
They did. But before I worked for Pat and Coach Cooley were actually assistant coaches together at Division II Stonehill.
Nice.
I kind of came up with that crowd, got to know Coach Cooley. We've done a lot of things together. I'm so excited for him, so excited for his team. He's a Providence guy. The job that he's done there, they play at an off-campus arena. They've had that place packed. He keeps them loose. He has a lot of fun. I think this is going to be a great game. I mean, I think Providence is going to be ready to go. Like you said, Kansas is good. I mean, the job Bill Self has done with his guys. I mean, they're good. They are, without a doubt, a legitimate national champion, contender. But you know what? So is Providence.
I would say at this point, so is anybody.
Yeah. And you're right. But the other thing we said too, like Providence got that draw of South Dakota State, and South Dakota State was probably, as hot, if not hotter than anybody in the country.
Like, what are you doing giving that draw?
Yeah, that was a tough one. And I think that was a scary draw for Providence. They handled them fine. And then, Richmond had the upset of Iowa in the first round. So Richmond the next round and beat them handily, very handily.
I think it's the part that, like, the Big East is so good, the battle testedness to be able to win that night in and night out. They played against so many different styles. I don't know. I like Providence in this matchup just because I just think they have a gritty edge and chip on their shoulder that they're going to come in with. And Kansas was able to sneak one away. I don't remember who they beat. I'm drawing a blank. It's a lot of levels we're keeping track of, a lot of jobs, but I'm drawing a blank on who they beat. I know you'll pull it up, but
yeah, they beat Tech. They pounded Texas Southern in the first round. They beat Creighton in the next round.
That was a high level game. And Creighton, I mean, talk about a team that's going to be a team to watch next year if they can stay together.
Yep.
That's a high level basketball team, and it was a good game. They gave them everything they could handle and really took it down to the wire. So looking forward to seeing that matchup in the Midwest.
Yep.
We got the Battle of the Blue Bloods, man. We got the Battle of the Blue Bloods. UCLA, number 5, back in the Sweet 16. They were here last year, went to the Final Four, got majority of those guys back. And then North Carolina, the new era North Carolina, Hubert Davis, another team that, I have no problem, again, saying this, to see Hubert Davis as a black head coach that a lot of people didn't want to be the North Carolina head coach. They didn't want to hand it over to Hubert Davis. It's like, who is Hubert Davis? Well, number one, he played there, was a heck of a player there, obviously had a great NBA career, and is a first-class human being. And love the fact that they were decisive last year too. And Roy Williams, this meant something to Roy. It's like Roy wanted it to go to him, and you could tell he was proud. So this North Carolina team has been on the bubble, and I love some of their tweets. It's like from the bubble to the Sweet 16, and same with Michigan. And shout out to the women's program because they're also in the Sweet 16, North Carolina. But I think they had a lot of questions around this team. The ACC's had a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. But for them to do what they did on the night, I think I tweeted this, the night against Duke, Coach K's special night, they dominated that game on a big stage, and then went from there, made their run, Sweet 16. I just love the fact that this team is doing what they're doing, and really excited for Hubert Davis to just be able to validate the hire to the haters, and then just to the people that did believe in him to say, we knew this was the guy. This is why.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's what I really like about North Carolina and Hubert Davis, and similar to Michigan and Juwan Howard. Like, I like when you have an alum who is a basketball guy who, but also like bleeds, like Hubert Davis bleeds Carolina blue.
No doubt.
I mean, look at Mike Woodson at Indiana. You bring in like high level basketball guys like that. Like you got to root for them, and going back to what you said about, North Carolina, when they went in and beat Duke on Coach K night or whatever, I get a lot of respect for Hubert Davis in North Carolina. Like they played really well. They dominated. They can go far in this thing. I really like them. Obviously Mick Cronin's done a great job with UCLA, but I really, really, really like North Carolina in this game. I like the way they're playing right now. I really like North Carolina here.
Yeah. And UCLA kind of ends up playing late, so people don't watch them as much, but they've played really well, and they do have the experience of being there, having the disappointment. If you think back, I'm drawing a blank on his name, really good player for Orlando now, or really good player for Gonzaga that's Orlando. Hit the half-court shot for Gonzaga. The kid that got drafted, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Anyway, hits the half-court shot. If he doesn't hit that shot, UCLA may be in the national championship game. So they have some heartbreak from that. Going to be a great one. 17 national titles between the two teams.
Yeah. You said it, Blue Bloods, the two Blue Bloods.
True Blue Bloods. And then that Baylor game to take down a number one seed, a wounded number one seed. Baylor deserves all the credit for being able to still be a number one seed, a wounded number one seed, but to take them down and be as dominant as 25. I mean, Brady Manick, if he doesn't get kicked out, they may end up winning by 25. Yeah. They were playing at such a high level. Can't wait for that one. Another one is just kind of the number one overall seed, I believe, was Gonzaga in this thing, and they play Arkansas. Musselman, Mark Few, definitely different styles, different ways of going about it, different personalities. You got one who doesn't even have a Twitter account, and the other one is like a Twitter addict.
Might not know what Twitter is. Yeah,
exactly. Mark Few has no clue, but shout out to Penny Hardaway, the way that they played against Gonzaga. I think they just showed that Gonzaga can be beat. I think some people thought this team was head and shoulders above, and I think they are a very good team, deserving of number one seed, but it's just not a dominant team. So I'm curious. I mean, when Timmy's playing like he played in that stretch, they're really tough. Obviously, when they're making threes, they're really tough. And, big fella being able to Holmgren being able to protect the rim like he does, and he's just such a kind of outlier, unique talent.
Yeah.
But, man, Arkansas just plays such a fearless style, and it's going to be fun to watch. This will be a fun game to watch, contrasting styles. Curious to see how that one shakes out.
Yeah, me too. And I keep saying I love to watch the coaching matchups here, right? You got Mark Few, Mr. Kind of calm, cool, collected on the sidelines, and he'll get heated now and then. But with Coach Musselman, I mean, he's all fire. He is. He will have them fired up.
No doubt.
He'll be jumping around. I like the way Arkansas plays. They're tough. They're athletic. This is going to be a great game. Obviously, I'm looking forward to all these games, but I'm really looking forward to Arkansas and Gonzaga. It's going to be a good one.
They'll play with a different chip to play against that team in that game.
Yeah.
He'll have them at a level where it'll be a good game. And I would imagine Mark Few after that stretch, people don't give him as much credit all the time because they don't play these type of matchups all year long. They play neutral site games, then they play their conference. So they don't really play any true high-level road games. This is another neutral site game, but I think it's going to be a high-level affair right there. Going to the East, 3 seed Purdue versus who's been number one in the country more than once, I believe. Purdue's been at least twice this year versus the darling of the tournament, St. Peter's.
There is nobody in the country besides the people that live, near Purdue that's rooting for Purdue in this game.
Man,
I mean, I would hate to be Purdue.
You talk about the whole tournament. You talk about the whole tournament is rooting for St. Peter's.
St. Peter's in this one. It's a tough spot if you're Purdue, right? I mean, St. Peter's is a 15 seed. They won the MAC. They've obviously won 2 good games here. You got to really take them seriously. Like you said, Purdue was number one multiple times this year. They've had a great year, but you got to be ready to play against St. Peter's.
I mean, Kentucky is as big and athletic and talented as anybody.
Yep.
And for them to do what they did against Kentucky and then Murray State, I mean, they kind of have the same high major size, but still have those mid-major guys that are good. And I mean, they control that entire game.
Yeah.
So this team is Yeah, this team is high level. It's going to be a great game. Shaheen Holloway, his ability to coach. I think the coolest thing about the whole thing from a coaching standpoint, like you said, coaching matchups, is Shaheen Holloway is getting so much respect for his X's and O's.
Yeah.
I think it's different. So I said this to somebody else. It might have been my wife earlier today. It was. So you have 3 teams that have done it in the history of beating a number 15 seed. There's only one team that's beat a 16, which is UMBC, beat Virginia. 3 teams have been the number 15 seed and beat a 2 seed.
Yep.
Right. So the first one to do it, Florida Gulf Coast.
Yep.
The star of that was not the players, it was the coach. Andy Enfield was the star. Yep. Not to say that the players weren't great. They were great. They did it. It was Dunk City is what you heard.
Right. He started Dunk City. That was his
thing. And you heard about Enfield, right? You heard about his story and what it leads to this big job, right? ORU does it last year against Ohio State. I think the difference is, and Paul Mills is a outstanding, fabulous person first, coach as well. He's proven that a part of the Baylor tree. But last year was different because Max Asmus and Kevin O'Banner were so good. That's all people were talking about, was like they got these 2 guys that can just go off for 30, and they both did. And so it was almost like that stole the attention, right, in the hearts of the fans, and that's what went viral Well, this time it's like I don't think anybody knows one player on St. Peter's team, but Shaheen Holloway is the story with this as far as like what March Madness is and what they're highlighting. And his ability to coach, I think, is really cool. And then the second part is he just is so real in his interviews. People are loving that authenticity because you don't normally see that.
Yeah.
Like, yo, we're from New York, New Jersey. Like, what are y'all talking about being scared? That's not even a thing to these kids, man. Like, I love that part. And I love the interview at halftime, or it wasn't even halftime. It was like right after halftime, the young lady interviews him and says, like, how do you think you're playing? He's like, playing like crap. Like just straightforward. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to this coaching matchup. I do think it's cool that Shaheen Holloway is getting his flowers, and we talked about it on the other show. His alma mater is open. Not that it's about that, but I do think there's going to be a lot of buzz for him to be able to move on, and he's earned it. And he's saved St. Peter's University's budget. I think there was another cool story. I don't know who ended up paying for it. I don't remember, but the cheerleaders couldn't go, I think, to the first game. But then after that, they won, and they were able to get them to the second game because somebody decided to look out. And I don't remember the whole story.
Yeah, so it's NBC and the Peacock network. St. Peter's Peacock. So the again, St. Peter's is capitalizing on all this, and then the Peacock nickname and the Peacock network, and they've done a phenomenal job capitalizing it, and
really cool
on another show, and just all the free marketing they're getting, and they're the household name now. St. Peter's in the Sweet 16.
No doubt.
Shaheen Holloway, good for those guys. I'd love to see them keep winning. Bunch of tough New York City and New Jersey kids.
I love the story. Love the underdog story, the ultimate underdog story, and they've made a ton of money for the university.
Yeah, absolutely good for them.
Which is amazing. What it's all about. Which is why all these D2 teams want to be able to move up. It's because they want that chance.
They do. They want to capitalize it, and we've said this on another show, but that's what athletics can do to a university, right? Athletics can transform a university.
Well, it's the window. It's the window in for people to be able to give the university even more attention. So, what a great opportunity financially, and to just so many schools after they go to tournament, their enrollment always skyrockets, which is another part of making money. But you get money for playing the tournament. You get money for advancing. So credit to them. The conference gets some money, but credit to them. This is out of blue blood, but, man, you talk about the high level of toughness game. These next two, Arizona versus Houston, number 1 versus number 5. I just think that, it's tough and physical and athletic and just gritty game as you can get. This is going to be it. You talk about Kelvin Sampson leading that program to a Final Four last year. We've talked about Tommy Lloyd in year 1. Amazing to think he has a chance to compete for a national championship in year 1 and with Arizona. So both these coaches, to me, deserve serious consideration for Coach of the Year, especially given the fact that Arizona had sanctions that makes that job different. So even to retain and recruit in that climate shows a lot about their staff. And then taking a step further, Houston going to the Final Four. Quentin Grimes gets drafted. DeJon Jarreau is a pro. I believe there's one more I'm missing that they lose. Didn't they lose their leading scorer to start the year, Marcus Sasser? They lose Tremont Mark, one of their best scorers off the bench. They lose. I mean, they've just had injury after injury and still been able to find a way to do it. Is just, I mean, and dominating that. So, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these picks. I hate that they're playing in this first game.
Yeah.
Both of these teams are Final Four good. But yeah, I love that matchup. That's some must-see TV right there.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you know what? I really like Arizona. Arizona, though, they had a tough time against TCU, and
they survived. Let's talk about this real quick. I'm gonna ask you what you thought. I didn't see it till after, but how about the no call?
You watch it live, and I can't believe they swallowed their whistle. I mean, that's nuts.
Unbelievable. You're not even talking about like sometimes a not good player doesn't get that, but the best player on TCU's team, arguably.
Yeah, that was a tough one, man.
Right in front of everybody at half court. So basically the play is he's getting trapped at half court, the tie game, and he gets knocked down to the point where he falls and there's contact. There's no call. They would have been shooting, so the game would have been over.
It would have been over.
It ends up being overtime instead. Arizona didn't get a shot off, but that was a foul.
Yep, that was a foul.
That was 99 out of 100 times that's a foul, and the one time it's not.
If that's 3 minutes into the first half, without a doubt.
If it's any other point in time in the game, but it's like they almost knew, and I say they is probably the main official that was right there in front of it. The other two are at their other points, but it's as obvious as it can be.
That's a tough one. If you're TCU, that's a tough pill to swallow because
you
played Arizona
Sweet 16.
Yeah, you played them. You played them even for 39 minutes and 45 seconds,
and then drew a foul.
Yep.
To win the game.
Yep.
And TCU had a heck of a year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I gotta go Houston, Texas, hardly home, but always repping. My boys are over there, so I gotta represent for them. Next game, another really high level matchup as you talk about the Coach K farewell tour. Man, this is an interesting coaching matchup because you talk about like the blue blood, went to military, coached under Coach Knight. Coach Knight used to coach at Texas Tech, ironically, but Mark Adams, just going straight West Texas, Clarendon JUCO, Wayland Baptist, West Texas A&M, Pan American, Howard JUCO, Little Rock with Beard, and then now he's the head coach. I like Texas Tech in this game. I just think they have an elite defense, as we know, tenacious as can be, gritty. And I just think they have a bunch of older guys that are just bought into how they do things. And they don't really care if you're Duke, Carolina, whoever. They just have a different chip on their shoulder, and they're so good defensively. And, again, I'm biased to Bryson Williams because I coached him twice at Fresno and UTEP, and I just think he's a unique inside-outside threat that can score both ways. I'm going Texas Tech.
Yeah, so a couple of things with this one. First of all, I love the fact that you put Coach K and Mark Adams together. They're 140 years old combined.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of experience coaching these games, right? A lot of experience. I love the job that Mark Adams has done. And here's the thing with Duke. I mean, obviously, they've had a great year, but it's been all about Coach K and his retirement, and now they're at the Sweet 16. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure if you're a player for Duke. I mean, that's why, they lost it, against North Carolina at home on Coach K's last home game. And even he said afterwards that, there might have been, there's a lot of outside forces at work here, so now you're getting to the point where Coach K wants to win a national championship and go out with this, right?
No question.
So not only are you in the Sweet 16, as a player, you're thinking about like all this other stuff that's going on. Like, is this going to be his last time walking out here forever? Is this going to happen on my watch? Right. So there's that added pressure for Duke, and I love the way Texas Tech is playing. I think this is where Duke bows out here.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I said it during the year about Texas Tech. I think they're Final Four good, and I think they're proving that. And I think they're the 3 seed going through the 2 seed to do it. So, looking forward to tuning in starting Thursday. We're like hitting it on the head every single time, and we are crushing this thing. So this is episode this is episode 6, excuse me. I guess I got to decide. We should decide. Should we do a 20-minute segment real quick on this episode, or should we do an episode 7 that just covers quickly in a 20, 30-minute sprint the hires that have happened so far? I'm going to toss it to you and say, what do you think?
I think it's got to be a topic for episode 7.
I agree. That's what great minds think alike. So you guys know where to find us. Episode 7, we're at it again, and we're out.
Later.